Action.
Welcome to another session of Be Kinetic. In one of the previous videos I referred to Gallup's study of where 87% of people are disengaged. They don't really enjoy their work. They're going through the motions. And part of the dynamic of us as leaders changing that is around the concept of empowerment. And it is a word that is thrown around loosely, and I don't think we always understand the complexity and the dynamics of what it is to have true empowerment. Now, Stephen Covey, he had an article out one day that said, if we take the analogy of a plant, is you can't make a plant grow. You can assist it, you can give it water, you can put it in the right soil, but at the end of the day, the plant, the flower, the tree grows all by itself. At the same time is we can put a plant in an environment, in a situation where it will die. So again, if you have a cactus and you're putting it in an environment where it's constantly raining, and it's not going to mature to its full potential. And so when we come to the whole concept of empowerment, it's not so much us motivating people. It's not so much us trying to rah-rah them and hold hands and sing a kumbaya and they all get excited, as much as us creating an environment. So just like a plant is making sure, do we have the right soil that is appropriate to that plant? Do we have the right lighting and temperature? Are we putting the right minerals to create the space for them to live out their natural potential? And so it is when it comes to the notion of empowering people. Is, again, the average person wants to do a good job. I mean, I've never met someone who drives to work and go, boy, I am so excited because today I'm going to stuff up. Haven't met such a person. Is everyone desires to go and do a good job. Everyone desires to shine. And I mean, if you ask anyone, do you want to be promoted? Again, I've never met someone that says, no, I want to stay at my level. So the question we've got to be asking ourselves is, are we creating this environment where people feel empowered to live to their full potential? Now, I think one of the dynamics that we experience is, as leaders, is we don't know our role and we don't know our people's role. And so again, a simplistic analogy is that of a soccer team. So what happens is you have a coach, which would be the leader, and firstly, their responsibility is to pick the players. And so they must make sure that they have the best players that will fit in their team to give them the best possibility of winning the game, the match, the tournament. And so are we hiring right? Are we making sure that not only we're getting the best people, but also the right fit? And so that's a dynamic within itself. Then once the coach has the right players, they would go away on a camp, have a training session. There they would discuss the plans and the strategies of how they're going to execute their average game. And then there's something of a practice. And they go out there and they practice and they train and they do their best in preparation for the game. Once that is all in place, is then what happens is we actually have a match where we play against a different team. And when that happens, the coach's role fundamentally changes. Because at that point, the coach gets off the field. And I think where we lose it when it comes to empowering people is so often when it's time to play the game, is we stay on the field. I mean, imagine the absurdity of a coach running in front of his player and trying to take the ball away from him. Imagine the craziness of a coach running in front of the goalie because he's trying to catch the ball instead of the goalie because he's not doing it the way in which he wants to. So if our people aren't performing in the way that we would like them to, then number one is we've got to get the right people. We've got to design the right strategy. We've got to make sure that they are trained and they have the right kit. But when it comes to playing the game, is the coach needs to get off and he needs to watch the game. So where there's a strategic error is then at halftime is we come aside and we discuss and go, guys, we're either losing this, we need to change the game plan, or we're doing well, but we can take it to a next level. He's there to motivate and encourage. But it is absurd for the coach to keep running onto the field. And I think that's why so many people are disengaged, because they almost say, well, why should I be here? Is because the coach, us as leaders, keeps running on, keeps trying to do my job his or her way. And it creates immense sense of frustration. And again, imagine a soccer player who's the coach keeps taking the ball away, really going to annoy them, really going to frustrate them. Eventually, what's going to happen is they're going to disengage. And so there's something of this is, what type of coaches are we? And are we allowing our people to play their part? Now, one of the almost the most encouraging stories that I've ever read is by a captain in the US Navy. He's no longer in the Navy, but he was a captain called Captain Abrashoff, and he was given at that stage the worst performing battleship in the US Navy. And within a very short span of time, he turned it around, and he made it the lead ship within the US Navy. And so obviously a lot of questions, how did you do that? And he eventually wrote a book called It's Your Ship. And in fact, if you go on Google, if you go to Amazon, you'll find he's got a whole range of books. But that was kind of his first opening book. And now this is not a comfortable environment. This is a battleship. These are people preparing for war. And if he can get it right in those conditions, man, we can get it right within our own company. And what he did is he called everyone on deck. And he said to them, from now onwards, listen to this. This is revolutionary. He told his crew, from now onwards, you can do whatever you want, and I will have your back. I mean, how can you tell people on a battleship that they can do whatever you want? And that's what he told them. He said, but there's just 3 exceptions. Number 1 is if you're going to start a war, you first need to get permission. And I think that's a good approach to have. So in any way that a soldier or an officer, whoever it might be, in any way puts this battleship in an opportunity of war, he cannot take control of that situation. That's the captain's responsibility. The second thing is he told his people that they may not interfere with someone else's work without getting permission for that. So there's something about, this is your job, this is your responsibility, and you have free rein to do whatever you want, and even if it goes awry, even if it doesn't work out well, is the captain will have your back. But you can't interfere with someone else, because why? That is their job, that is their responsibility. And then the third one is he said, it needs to be within budget. So again, you can't just go and blow a whole lot of money, is that there are budgets, there are timelines, there are expectations that is assigned to every person's job and responsibility. So what did he do? He empowered his people. He gave them freedom. He created this open space and said, do your job. And if you do your job, I will have your back. Now, don't exceed your responsibilities. Don't go beyond that which you have been mandated. But if it's within your scope, is go and do it. And even if it goes wrong, don't worry about it. And imagine, as us as leaders, if we created that environment, if we told our people, go and do your job, we will back you, we will support you, get on the field and play the game, score the goals, obviously if you're the goalie, save the potential goals that are coming your way, and I'm going to back you. And when there's a downtime, we'll look at the strategy, we'll do some training, we'll do some coaching, but when we get to the game, I'm going to get off and I'm going to let you play the game so that we can win. And if Captain Abrashoff can do this on a battleship, I am convinced that we can do it in our companies. Let's create environments for our people to do their job. Let us empower them. As we keep on this journey, we're definitely going to be talking about how do we do this in a practical way. And so I'm looking forward to the next session where we can unpack this. Until then, be kinetic.